So, according to Saw 6, John Kramer becomes Jigsaw more or less because his insurance turned him down, his health insurance, if you will. Does that make him one of the more relatable horror icons of all time? Food for thought.
Hello. You don't know me, but I know you. I want to play a game. There is only one key to open the device. It's in the stomach of your dead cellmate. You better hurry up. Live or die. Make your choice.
Hello, everyone. My name is Ryan Cam, and welcome back to my road to Saw 10, where I'll be covering every Saw film in honor of Saw 10, coming to theaters September 29th. We're only just a couple of weeks away. I've already covered everything from Saw to Saw 5. If you'd like to check that out, the playlist link will be in the eye in the right-hand corner. Go check that out if you are so inclined. But now, we are over the halfway point, and we have got just a couple more mainline canon Saw films to go. So let's kick it off with Saw 6. Saw 6 was released in 2009. It was directed by Kevin Greutert, something like that. But Mr. Greutert is going to be directing Saw 10. So this guy is no stranger to the Saw universe. After the events of Saw 5, in which Hoffman assumes the Jigsaw mantle by watching as Strom is pressed into Strom juice while watching from a glass coffin while lying on a bed of glass, that had to have been painful. Hoffman now moves on to, well, carrying on Jigsaw's legacy. However, there is some unfinished business that Jill Tuck is not really willing to give up to Hoffman, at least not yet. But the game must roll on, and one of John Kramer's final wishes is, well, to put the main subject of the game and his employees through the usual Saw paces. Oh boy. As you all probably gathered from my Saw 5 review, I did not care for Saw 5 in the slightest. Among my complaints is the promotion of Hoffman to basically being the new Jigsaw when Amanda or Jill Tuck were pretty much right there collecting dust. But Hoffman was the new Jigsaw for the time being, and I was just going into this one being Saw 6 thinking, I hope this is at the very least watchable, because Saw 5 was not great. And at this point in the series, I just was hoping that it wouldn't turn to a Friday the 13th situation where the first few are pretty good, and then after, like, say, Jason Lives, it takes a complete nosedive. I'm happy to report that Saw 6 is not terrible. It's actually solid. It is not perfect by any means, but after Saw 5, which, like I said, I had very strong negative opinions on, going into this one with bare minimum expectations, the movie didn't have to be this good, but I'm glad it was this good. It wasn't my favorite of the series, but it was enjoyable, which at this point, this deep into the Book of Saw, is all that I was hoping for. The main draw of this movie, and the thing that I really did appreciate the most, is Hoffman's place as the new Jigsaw not being so certain, because Jill Tuck is very reticent of giving him the keys to the car, because in many ways she is afraid that if she gives Hoffman the keys to the car, he will take the car and drive it into a farmer's market. Not to mention the fact that Jill Tuck has, well, motives of her own, let's just say. Costas Mandylor, who plays Hoffman, and Betsy Russell, who plays Jill, are both good in their roles, and the scenes they do have together are some of the best things in the entire movie. The power struggle over the Jigsaw mantle is the draw for me, and it kept things interesting. Out of all of the games in the Saw movies so far, this feels the most personal, because the main subject of the game is William Easton, the head of the insurance carrier that John Kramer had. And when John Kramer found out he had cancer, he applied for a loan, and the loan was denied. because, well, the company basically nickels and dimes you to death, basically squeezing every penny until Abraham Lincoln is tapping out. They don't have physical blood on their hands, but Easton and his team have metaphorical blood on their hands. And unlike the game in the last movie, where it felt like these people were just there just to have the game and were annoying to the point of just getting them off of my screen to save me a few minutes of my precious life, the participants in the game here feel like they deserve to be here, truly. I don't think I've really seen anyone who's deserved to be in a Saw game more than, like, say, the original Saw with Dr. Gordon and Adam. The traps are predictably messed up, and I would argue they're just as messed up as Saw 5 was. The first trap that we see in this movie with Easton is when he is hooked up to this machine with the janitor of his building, and the two are basically strapped up to these oxygen machines, and every time they breathe, there are these vices attached to their sides that crush their sides at every time that they breathe. So they have to hold their breath, and if they breathe even a little bit, this machine just crushes their insides. It freaked me out a little, I'm not gonna lie. Along with the game going on, there is a mother and a son, and eventually a reporter. This reporter is making a big expose on John Kramer. They're all locked up in these cages, and the cages, well, there's a mechanism where if you pull the wrong lever, there's hydrofluoric acid falling on top of all of them. I've watched Breaking Bad to know that hydrofluoric acid is pretty much, yeah, these people would have become just human soup. But anyway, Easton dies in the movie, spoiler alert, and how he dies is he pulls the lever and this contraption comes down. It's basically made up of really large needles, and it hits him in the back. And as it hits him in the back, the acid goes in through the needles. And so not only is he stabbed, but then his insides are basically turned to jelly. It's so messed up. But considering the fact that William Easton is not exactly the most deserving person of living on this planet, it was particularly satisfying. This movie may also contain probably my favorite trap of any of these Saw movies, where his entire team is on this, it's not a carousel, but it's like one of those things you see at a playground where it goes around and around really fast. I'm sure you all know the one I'm talking about, but they're all trapped to this thing, and there's a shotgun, and there is enough rounds to kill everyone there except for 2 employees, and it's up to Easton to choose which one of his employees make it out. And, well, to quote Heath Ledger's Joker, when the chips are down, these civilized people will eat each other. And they not literally eat each other, that would be cannibalism, no, but they figuratively eat each other. They, in their desperation to get on Easton's good side, they basically go out of their way to just verbally tear down their employees, and Easton has to make tough choices, and the choices he makes, he has to push a button, and a massive spike comes down and hits him in the hand every time he makes a choice. And then when he makes a choice to that person to live or die, the shotgun shoots him in the chest, and they're just stuck there, and they're strapped to the chair like this, so when they die, they're just hanging there like this as the carousel is moving. The smell in that room, my God. I said the movie is not perfect. Hoffman is still Hoffman, and they really tried to make the Hoffman thing work, but I still think that it didn't work. And I think the movie really knows that too, because, well, he is deposed of being the new Jigsaw rather quickly, and it looks like Jill Tuck may finally be taking his place, or, again, so we thought. Also, there's something that just really annoyed me, and that in one of the earlier entries, there's an FBI agent named Perez who gets shot in the stomach, and it's heavily implied that she dies. And so here she is in this movie, and she has some scars, but she's fine. And I was just sitting there thinking to myself, she died, right? Like, what? That was a quick recovery. There's also the whole thing of Hoffman trying to pull more strings and try and imply that it was he who was controlling things all the time and not Amanda or John Kramer. And again, I just was not a fan of it. When it's revealed that it was revealed to Jill Tuck in John Kramer's last will and testament to do away with Mr. Hoffman, I was very happy at that news. And well, I was cheering for when he's basically given the reverse bear trap treatment that he would meet his maker, but sadly, no, we are stuck with him for another movie. Overall, at the end of the day, I'm going to give this movie a good rating. I did not expect to be giving this movie a good rating, but it's a massive improvement from 5. Not my favorite of the series, however, for the story it's trying to tell, I think it turned out very well. The traps are suitably messed up. You don't want the people to make it out alive, which, I mean, if that was the point, then that's all good. And at the end of the day, 6 movies deep into Saw, I'm still digging it so far. There's only been 1 dud, and the rest have been good to great. So that's a pretty consistent track record if you think about it. But have you seen Saw 6? Let me know in the comments. I'd love to read what you have to say. And stay tuned for next week, where I will be finishing up the mainline Saw canon by talking about Saw the Final Chapter, or Saw 3D, depending on which lineage you follow. But if you enjoyed this video, leave a like, subscribe to the channel, click the bell to allow notifications, so when a new video drops, you'll be the first to know about it. My name is Ryan Cam, and I'll see you in the next one.